You have spent 30, maybe 40 years in the saddle. You have owned the classics. You know the difference between a bike that was built to last and one that was built to sell. So you do not need me to hype you, but I will tell you this. The 2026 used motorcycle market is a different animal than the one you grew up buying in. Prices are inflated, parts cost more than they ever have, and there are dealers right now quietly pushing certain used bikes onto good riders, bikes that look like a deal and turn into a money pit the moment the warranty is a memory. So today, no nonsense. I am a mechanic with 22 years under the hood, and I am going to show you 5 used motorcycles to skip in 2026, not because they are bad looking, but because they will punish your wallet, your weekends, or your back. And then 2 used bikes that still respect your hard-earned dollar, the ones a mechanic actually takes home. Let us get to work. Before the bikes, you need to understand the market you are walking into, because it has changed, and not in your favor. 3 things are happening in 2026 that every used buyer needs to know cold. First, parts cost more than ever. Inflation, tariffs, and the long supply chain hangover have driven up the price of components across the board, and on some bikes, especially the complex ones and the imports, a single major repair out of warranty can cost more than the bike is worth. The price you pay at purchase is not the price you pay to own it. On the wrong machine, the repair bills are the real sticker, and you do not see them until it is too late. Second, dealer markups and junk fees have gotten out of hand. Watch for the games on a used bike. Inflated documentation fees, so-called reconditioning charges, even crating and freight fees showing up on a bike that never needed crating. And here is the one that matters most to an experienced buyer like you: trade-in value. Dealers know exactly which used bikes hold their value and which ones collapse. They will happily take a fast depreciating machine off your hands today, lowball you on it, and resell it at a markup tomorrow. If a dealer is a little too eager to move a certain used model, stop and ask yourself why. Third, the dealers push the bikes they need to move, not the bikes that serve you. A used bike that has been sitting on the floor, that the last owner dumped for a reason, that depreciates fast or scares off the informed buyers, that is the one with the spiff on it, the one the salesman steers you toward with a smile. Your job, and my job today, is to know which ones those are before you ever walk through the door. So here they are, 5 used motorcycles to skip in 2026, counting down to the single biggest trap on the lot. Number 5. The new liquid-cooled Sportsters, the Harley-Davidson Sportster S and the Harley-Davidson Nightster. And I want to be fair, because as new machines these are fast, modern, capable bikes. But as a used purchase, in 2026, for a rider like you, they carry risks the showroom will never mention. Here is the problem. These bikes run Harley's Revolution Max engine, a liquid-cooled, high-output, electronically managed motor that is still, by motorcycle standards, a young design. It has not racked up the decades of high-mileage proof that the engines you trust have earned. When you buy one used and out of warranty, you are buying an unproven, complex power plant whose long-term reliability and repair costs are still being written. That is fine for a young rider chasing horsepower. It is a gamble for a man who likes to know exactly what he is getting into before he signs. And here is the part that matters most to someone who has spent his life with a wrench in his hand. You cannot really work on these in your own garage anymore. The beautiful simplicity that made the old Sportster a home mechanic's dream is gone, replaced by radiators, coolant systems, and a computer that wants a dealer's diagnostic tool just to talk to it. The riding position on the Sportster S is aggressive too, a forward, sporty stance that is hard on aging wrists and a lower back over a long day in the saddle. So, compare it honestly against your alternatives. For used Sportster S money, you are taking on an unproven engine you cannot service yourself, on a bike that fights your body on a long ride. Skip it. There are far smarter places to put that money, and I will show you 2 of them before we are done. Number 4. The liquid-cooled Indians, the Indian Challenger Dark Horse, and its full touring brother, the Indian Pursuit Dark Horse. Now, long-time viewers know I respect these machines. On raw performance and technology, the liquid-cooled Power Plus is one of the most advanced American engines you can buy. But as a used purchase, the very things that make it impressive when new make it risky when used. That Power Plus 112 is a sophisticated, liquid-cooled, high-performance V-twin. New, under warranty, wonderful. Used, out of warranty, It is a complex motor whose specialty parts you cannot just pull off any shelf. Indian's dealer and parts network is a fraction of Harley's, and owners in some markets have reported real waits for components. For a touring bike, a machine you bought specifically to ride far from home, a part that takes weeks to arrive is the difference between a riding season and a summer spent staring at it in the garage. And there is a factor that did not even exist a couple of years ago. In late 2025, Indian passed from its longtime parent company into the hands of a private equity firm. I am not here to predict doom, the bikes are genuinely excellent. But when you are buying a used, complex, out-of-warranty machine that you hope to keep for years, the long-term commitment of the company behind your parts and your software support is a fair and serious question. With a brand new owner focused on returns, that question simply has no clean answer yet. Stack it against a new Harley or Indian and the used Challenger looks like a steal. But cheap to buy and cheap to own are two different animals. On a complex, liquid-cooled tourer out of warranty, the repair you cannot do yourself, on the part you cannot get quickly, is exactly the kind of money pit this whole video exists to keep you out of. Skip it. Number 3. And this one is going to surprise some of you, because it is a genuinely well-reviewed bike. The Harley-Davidson Pan America. As an adventure machine, it earned real praise. So why is it on a skip list for you? Because it is very likely the wrong tool for the way you actually ride, and the used market is full of them for a reason. Start with the body, because at our age that comes first. The Pan America is a tall adventure bike, built with a high seat and long travel suspension for off-road terrain. For a rider in his 60s, or anyone with a shorter inseam, or knees and hips that have done their share of work, swinging a leg over a tall ADV bike, holding it upright at a stoplight, and living with that perched riding position all day is not comfort. It is a daily workout you never signed up for. You have earned a bike that is easy to throw a leg over and easy to live with. This is not that bike. Then the engine. Like the new Sportsters, the Pan America runs the liquid-cooled Revolution Max, the same young, complex, dealer-dependent motor we just talked about, with the same wrench-at-home problem and the same unproven long-term track record once the warranty is gone. And here is your value signal, the one an experienced buyer reads instantly. The Pan America depreciates hard, and used examples pile up on the market because a lot of buyers discovered it was more bike and more complexity than they actually needed. When the lots are flooded and the dealers are eager to move them, that is not a bargain. That is a warning written in plain sight. It is a capable machine for the right rider doing the right thing in the right place. But for a mature cruiser and touring rider who wants comfort, simplicity, and a bike he can maintain himself, the used Pan America is the wrong tool, at a price that only looks like a deal. Skip it. Number 2. The bike whose used price is the most seductive trap on this entire list. The BMW R18B and the BMW R18 Transcontinental. You have seen them, that enormous boxer engine, that flawless German fit and finish, and a used price that has fallen so far it looks like the deal of the decade. It is not. It is bait on a hook. Here is why that cheap used price exists in the first place. The R18 depreciates harder than almost anything in touring. Riders who paid north of $20,000 and even $30,000 new are watching them resell for a fraction of that. So yes, you can pick one up used for what looks like a song, but the same reasons it lost all that value are the reasons it will bleed you to own. This is a German luxury motorcycle. The parts are priced like German luxury, the service is specialized, and the dealer network that can properly work on it is thin across enormous stretches of this country. A cheap purchase price sitting in front of an expensive, hard-to-reach service bill is not a bargain. It is a slow leak in your wallet. And then there is your body, because I promised you straight talk. The R18 Transcontinental weighs in around 940 pounds wet. The R18B is not far behind, at nearly 900. That is a tremendous amount of motorcycle to manage at a standstill, in a parking lot, at the gas pump, backing it out of the garage on a cold morning when your knees are stiff. For a younger rider, manageable. For a man who is protecting his hips, his knees, and his shoulders so he can keep riding for another 20 years, nearly half a ton of bike is a serious consideration, and a real risk every single time you have to hold it up. The used R18 is a beautiful, beautiful machine. I will never tell you otherwise. But it is heavy, It is expensive to keep, you cannot easily service it yourself, and that tempting cheap sticker is the lure on the hook. Skip it. At number 1, the single biggest trap on the used lot in 2026, the one that separates the riders who truly know this market from the ones who learn the hard way. Any used Victory. Let me say it up front because it is true. Victory built genuinely good motorcycles. Modern engineering, overhead cams, fuel injection from the start, belt drive, real power. They rode well, and the people who owned them loved them fiercely. If this were only about the machine, a used Victory would be a fine bike. But it is not only about the machine, it is about what stands behind it, and behind Victory, the clock is running out. Here are the facts every used buyer needs, the ones the seller will never volunteer. In January of 2017, Polaris shut the Victory brand down completely to put everything behind Indian. And when they did, they made one specific promise: 10 years of parts and service support. Now do the math on that promise, the way an experienced man does. 10 years from 2017 is 2027. That is next year. The official factory parts safety net for every Victory ever built is scheduled to run out in 2027, and the dealer stock is already drying up. Salvage yards are now selling one-of-one used parts pulled from wrecked bikes, and once that part is gone, it can be gone for good. Think about what that means for you, sitting on that machine 2 years from now. You buy a used Victory in 2026 because the price looks fantastic. Then you need a specific electronic module, a sensor, a body panel, and you discover the factory support has ended, the part is unobtainium, and your beautiful bike is now a very heavy paperweight in your garage. That is the textbook definition of a money pit, a low purchase price chained to a part you may never be able to buy at any price. This is the orphan brand trap, and it is exactly the kind of thing a salesman moving a used Victory will never, ever explain to you. A great bike with a dying parts supply is not a deal. It is a countdown. Skip it. Now, let me show you where the smart money actually goes. 2 used motorcycles. 2 bikes that respect your dollar, respect your body, and respect your time. These are the ones a mechanic takes home. Smart money pick number 2, a used Honda Goldwing, and specifically the modern Goldwing Tour. Here is the logic, and it is exactly the kind of logic a man who has been around engines appreciates. The Goldwing's Flat 6 is one of the most durable engines ever put into a motorcycle. Mileages of 250,000 are not uncommon, and with care, examples have rolled well past 400,000. So when you buy a used Goldwing with 60, 80, even 100,000 miles on the clock, you are not buying a tired old bike. By Goldwing standards, you are buying one that is barely broken in, with most of its life still ahead of it, at a fraction of the new price. That is value an experienced buyer can actually feel. Add Honda's enormous dealer network and a parts pipeline that reaches everywhere, and you have one of the safest used touring purchases in America. It is smooth, it is genuinely comfortable for the long days your body now demands, and it simply does not strand you on the side of the road. The honest caveat, because I always give you one, it is technically complex, so for the deepest work you will want a good technician. But the reliability is so high that you will rarely need one. A used Goldwing is the closest thing to a guaranteed decade of trouble-free touring that money can buy. That is smart money. And smart money pick number 1, the bike that checks every single box that matters to a rider like you. A used Harley-Davidson touring bike with the Milwaukee-Eight engine, a street glide, a road glide, a road king. Here is exactly why it wins. First, and this is the big one, you can still wrench on it in your own garage. The Milwaukee-Eight is a proven, understandable, air and oil-cooled big twin, and the whole bike is built to be worked on. Oil changes, plugs, brakes, even the bigger jobs. With basic tools and a service manual, a man who knows his way around an engine can keep this bike running himself, the way it was always meant to be. No proprietary computer holding your own motorcycle hostage in a dealership service bay. Second, the parts are everywhere. Harley runs the largest dealer and service network in America, and the aftermarket behind it is endless. Whatever you need, wherever you happen to be, somebody has it on a shelf. A used Harley Tourer does not leave you stranded in a strange town, waiting on a part from across an ocean. Third, it holds its value. Harley keeps roughly 84% of its worth over 5 years, the best in the entire class, which means a well-bought used one is a stable, sensible asset, not a depreciating gamble like some of the bikes we skipped tonight. And fourth, the comfort and the endless parts supply mean you can set it up exactly for your body and the kind of riding you actually do. The honest caveat, buy smart. Check the service history, listen for the known wear items, and in this inflated market, do not overpay just because the seller is proud of it. But a clean, used Milwaukee-Eight Harley Tourer is that rare machine that respects your wallet, respects your weekends, and respects your independence as a rider who still likes to turn his own wrenches. That, my friend, is the smartest money on the used market today. So that is the map. 5 used machines to walk right past in 2026. The unproven liquid-cooled Sportsters, the complex used Indians, the wrong tool Pan America, the heavy and expensive R18, and the orphaned Victory with its parts clock running out next year. And 2 that still respect your hard-earned dollar, the bulletproof used Goldwing, and the wrenchable, parts everywhere, Milwaukee-Eight Harley. But here is the thing. I have given you 22 years of wrench time. A lot of you watching have given the road 30, 40, even 50 years. You have owned bikes I have only read about. You have watched brands come and go, seen this market change with your own eyes, and learned lessons the hard way that no spec sheet will ever teach. So I want to hear from you, the men who have been in the saddle since the 70s and the 80s. Which used bike did I miss? Which one burned you? And which one has carried you faithfully for 200,000 miles? Put it down in the comments, because the riders coming up behind us are reading every word, and your experience is worth more than anything I can say from up here. This channel is not about chasing the newest, the loudest, or the flashiest thing on the lot. It is about respecting the machine, respecting your money, and respecting the men who have earned their place on the road. If that sounds like you, subscribe and ride with us. Keep the rubber side down, and I will see you in the next one.